Welcome to the Power of Design podcast, where we have inspiring conversations that explore the intersection of architecture, construction, and real estate, so we can understand the dynamics and trends that shape an exciting and powerful built environment. This is your host, Jack Osa. In the next 3 episodes of The Power of Design, our guests are strong women, leaders in the design and construction industry. Today, we are talking to Christi Powell with 84 Lumber, the largest supplier of building materials in the United States with more than $4 billion in revenue per year. With over 30 years of career in the construction industry, Christi's experience and expertise led her to a very special position, where her work is impacting people's lives, creating and opening opportunities for women and minority-owned businesses to succeed. As an immigrant, to me, diversity and inclusion are very important and relevant topics, and I look forward to help underserved communities gain a voice and access to new opportunities to grow and pursue their full potential through the power of design. This is my conversation with Christi Powell. Hey, Christi, welcome to the Power of Design podcast. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you today?
Excellent. Christi, you have had an interesting career path in the construction industry, and currently you work for the largest supplier of building materials in the country. What advice would you give a young woman interested in following a career path in a similar construction industry?
So my advice would be to try anything that seems interesting to you, because you're going to find your passion there.
How do you do that?
So in my journey, my professional path, I actually started working at the age of 13. I was a gymnastics instructor.
Oh, wow. My daughter is doing gymnastics.
Yeah, it was a super cool job, and I got paid really well. You know?
That's nice.
And then I went on to the age of 16. I worked for General Motors as the Plant One's management assistant.
Wow.
So I learned a lot in that role, a little bit about automotive, but a lot about administrative and accounting. And I liked the accounting. I loved the math, so I moved on. And I do have an accounting background.
So I guess the gymnastics experience, help you through your years of, school, learning, engaging with
Absolutely.
People.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. What do you think are the biggest lessons from your gymnastics experience?
Well, I liked it so much that even though I was working full time, I was teaching aerobics classes. I set up my own studio, taught aerobics classes and gymnastics for young kids there too. There's a need out there.
Yeah.
And the expense was so high when I was that age that I felt like finding something that was monthly that parents could afford made a lot more sense.
Yeah.
I found an inexpensive studio. It was just me and another teenage girl.
Yeah.
And I was able to continue to do that. I just love helping people.
Yeah.
So that made it, that was kind of my hobby, I guess you'd say, but I did make some money at it as well.
That's awesome. Where was that?
That was in Indiana.
Okay.
I'm from Indiana.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So you had that, that experience.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about the next step. Did you go to college, or how was your education?
Yeah, actually, I didn't go to college right away because I had at General Motors, I had such a huge variety of knowledge that I had job offers all over the place before I even graduated from high school. So it was really hard to weigh that out. So I actually went back to school a couple of times, one for accounting and one for business law. And I did that while I was working because I loved working. I kind of have that workaholic syndrome.
Yeah.
That I have to make sure that I take a rest every now and then.
Sure.
But so I had an accounting background, and what happened was I worked for a long time in the accounting field, and I liked it, but I wasn't crazy about being inside all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the opportunity to work for a general manager of Lowe's at one point, And she was very instrumental in introducing me to the construction industry.
Okay.
And she encouraged me to try something new, and I did. And I found out that my passion was reading blueprints and
Wow.
estimating
That's
materials
awesome
for reading
passion.
blueprints. Yes, I loved it. And I was good at it because I had such a great math background.
Yeah.
And a lot of those numbers that you have to figure up, I could do in my head. So it was like, wow, this is easy.
Yeah.
And I love it. And then the very first house I got to help with, I was like, whoa, I got to do that.
Yeah.
You know? And then I wasn't inside all the time. You know, that led to sales.
Yeah.
And I got to travel a lot, and just really being in the sales industry in construction, you just drive around and talk to your friends.
Mm-hmm.
And it was almost like it was too good to be true, right?
Yeah.
You know, you're walking around and, you know, you're driving around and you're introducing yourself to people on a job site and letting them know what you're good at and what you can help with. And here's my card if you need anything. And just that vast amount of knowledge from, you know, just math and relationships that I'd had in the past. And then that little bit of the skill set that I got from, you know, from schooling, that all just helped me develop into something that I never dreamed I'd ever be in.
Wow. So what do you think are the top 2 or 3, you know, characteristics or skills that help you get there? Because, you know, what you're describing is not a traditional career.
No.
What do you think you had to really show people what you can do to excel at all those tasks?
I think that the drive to learn, I love to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like being in the construction industry every single day was a new learning experience. So I feel like that's probably my biggest drive is just if I'm complacent, then I don't feel happy. You know, I feel like if I'm not driven, I'm very driven personally.
Sure.
So if I'm not growing, I'm not feeling like I'm moving, you know, and getting somewhere. So I think that was key. That and the fact that I love helping people. You put both of those together and you meet a new customer or you meet a customer that you've had for a long time. I always felt like when I went to visit them, I had to bring something of value to them. Yeah. Right? Whether they were a customer or whether it was just a meeting I was going to be in with a banker or, you know, an architect for that matter. I would bring information to every one of those meetings that was valuable to them. Sure. So that they would feel like I was an asset to their team, no matter what role I was playing. Yeah. I'm important to them. You know, I've added value. So I feel like that's probably the biggest asset of my personality.
And with learning is a never-ending loop, because once you learn something, you realize that you don't know a bunch of things. And you're like, okay, let me learn more. Like, oh, I didn't know. You know, you don't know what you don't know. Right. So once you find out a little bit, that horizon expands. Yes. And when you're addicted to learning, then you just never stop.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And then what happened during, you know, after that job experience?
That job experience actually led me to, and I was a single mom at the time, and I had an opportunity to move to South Carolina. And when I did, I got a promotion, and I was able to run the commercial sales department there in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. I did that for a while, and then a wholesale distributor came in one day and asked me if I would mind selling plywood for them that they were importing over from overseas. And I was like, you know, that sounds pretty interesting. So I'd met my husband in South Carolina that I'm married to now, 17 years. And he said, hey, we're getting married pretty soon. I'm going to have insurance. Follow your dream, you know, try it if that's something you think you're going to like. And so I did. And then I helped them set up 2 lumber yards, actually, in Charleston and Greenville. And about that time, I was finding myself in that same boat of, you know, I'm not learning a lot. I'm not, you know, I'm not doing anything different. kind of thing. And I felt like maybe a bigger company would be better suited for me and the experience that I had. So I stayed in the sales field, chose not to be a manager for a lumber yard at that point, and really loved it. And I just went out in South Carolina and started, kind of paving my own way. People told me that, it's a good old boy town, where I lived in the Greenville area. And I said, well, I'm not a good old, and I'm definitely not a boy, but I think I can make this work.
Sure.
So I just started, helping people, letting them know, what I knew and how I could help. And if they needed me, I was there, nothing pushy. And that turned into several really good customers who then once started telling their friends. And I was able to build a pretty good book of business that way. And then, I loved it. I really did. I loved helping my customers. I always found the place that they needed me the most.
Yeah.
So with me having the accounting background and a little bit of business law background, I would always find what we were really good at as a company, like 84 Lumber. We have so many things that we're good at. That's how I got to be with 84 Lumber, is because of what they offer and how good they are to their customers. Right. That's why 84 Lumber was my choice. And I'm really good at finding out what a company's really good at and then marrying that with what a potential customer or a customer needs.
Yeah.
And then finding, where do you need me the most, and let me be an asset so that I'm part of the team. At that point, when you find out what your asset is to that company, then you become part of their team.
Yeah.
And so it's an invaluable relationship, which 84 Lumber is so much, there's so much built on strong relationships with their customers. It's not, they're just not a number.
Yeah.
So that's been
interesting.
Great.
And, so how long have you been with 84 Lumber?
So I've been with 84 Lumber for 7 years. The first 6 years I was in sales in Greenville. And now in June of 2020, in the middle of a pandemic, I accepted a position as the WBE Market and Commercial Sales Manager.
Okay, tell me about that.
And most people say, what is WBE?
Yeah.
What is it that you do? So WBE is Women's Business Enterprise.
Yes.
And the cool thing about this job is I get to educate and inform the community about the fact that we are woman-owned. I get to educate and inform our associates and our stores all over the United States, and then also get to help the communities by helping minority-owned businesses and women-owned businesses grow. And 84 Lumber, we actually started an initiative this year called Lead the Way, where we are leading the way in helping communities grow and small businesses grow, women and minorities, into larger businesses by us connecting them with our larger customers or partnering with them, 84 Lumber and our customers, to help them grow.
Yeah, that's an amazing, use of a business to really grow a community, empower people that are, maybe underserved and they didn't have opportunities they didn't have before. Tell me a little bit more about that. So I guess your role, you're selling the idea. You're not selling products.
Well, I do a little bit of both, which is great. I still find myself, we set up accounts all the time. A lot of women, what we found out was women and minorities in general were not getting the kind of attention from any of the lumber yards or any of their suppliers that they need. Mm-hmm. And once I started sitting down with some of these smaller customers, and not all of them are small, but once I started sitting down with some of these customers and finding out that, they weren't being hooked up with seasoned sales associates, people that knew about product, that knew knowledge, that had knowledge about engineered wood, who knew how to design trusses, who knew, the connections that they needed to get the job done. Maybe they weren't getting referrals for project managers like we would normally do for the rest of the customers. I was finding after a lot of conversations that most of those things were not happening for them.
Yeah.
That they were just kind of being left out or just not being paid attention to. in general. And so that kind of started the Lead the Way program is, me hooking these women and minorities up with seasoned sales associates that not only would be able to help them with product knowledge and maybe some shortcuts that they didn't know about. That's what we do every day, and we need to be doing it for everyone.
Sure.
And so that's what Lead the Way is we're doing that for everyone.
Why do you think we as a society got to that point where there are some sectors of the population who never got the same opportunities or access?
I don't think it was done on purpose. And I'm going to tell you why I don't think that. Because I'm a female in the construction industry in my entire life from the age of 33 to now, which is a little over 20 years. I never focused on finding female or minority businesses. It just wasn't something that people talked about. It's not something that you think about. And, and I grew up in Indiana where, minorities and women were very much included and very much involved, and they had their own businesses, a lot of entrepreneurship. It's a little different in the South. I understand that, but I don't think that it was something that happened overnight. I think it's just one of those stereotypes that just gets there by itself, right?
Yeah.
Because there were so many people that were, big general contractors that were not minorities. And so as in sales for me for 20 years, I literally went after that cloud of people who people thought, oh, we need to do business with them and need to do business with them. And we need to. So even myself, I didn't think about selling to women and minorities. I just thought there weren't very many.
Yeah.
But when you get in this world, then you start meeting these women and these minorities who are fantastic at what they do. Yeah. And they're good at it. And they've just not had the ability to make connections with the right people and be able to grow. And so that's where Lead the Way kind of got started, was just all of those conversations. And how can we lead the way? Because we're women owned, right? Yep. We have a platform and we're able to lead the way in showing other suppliers that they matter. They all matter. Oh, yeah. Women owned businesses, minority owned businesses matter just as much as any other business that we somehow put in that list, of people that we want to contact. Those names need to be in there as well.
So if there is business owner, a woman, the construction industry, and she's listening to this, she's like, oh, wow, like, okay, how do I get access to this? What's the process, or what are the services? How do you engage with that?
Okay, so we just recently set up an email called leadtheway@84lumber.com. And we are now in the process, because we have had so much interest in it, that we're now in the process of trying to find a software that's actually going to put this together. But we're building a database of all the women and minorities and small businesses. We're not just limiting it to women and minorities, but small businesses as well, where we're adding them to this database, because a lot of our big customers are finding that their participation level are so much higher now that things have changed. As you know, the country's changed a lot. And so we're seeing participation of WMBE on contracts where they used to be 12 and 15%. Now they're 30 and 50%. Yep. So these big GCs are having a hard time in general just finding, on an $80 million project, trying to find $40 million worth of women and minority businesses to meet that criteria on a contract. So we're building a database so that our customers, we can share it with our customers. And we've got WBE ambassadors that we've set up with our department all over the country. And they are being charged with getting involved with the community, getting to know the people in the community, being set up on a council or a committee, and just really getting involved and finding out what each little community needs. And then they're reaching out to the women, minorities, and small business owners and just asking them, how can we help you? And even if you're not in the construction industry, we're able to put you in our database as long as we can make sure that you're a good referral, right? If we can make sure you're a good referral, then we're going to put you in our database and we're going to share your information with the GCs that really need it. And a lot of times that's just adding value, once again, to not only our current customers, but also to prospective customers that we'd like to do business with that do have requirements for WBE participation.
Yeah.
So that database is amazing. So the email leadtheway@84lumber.com is the best way to let us know you either want to meet us, or you want to set up an account with us, or you want to be an installer with us, or, we do a lot of install projects, meaning this building right behind the building here that I'm sitting in. We would do that as a turnkey project, meaning we would provide the materials and the labor for that project.
Wow.
For the framing. We can also do windows and doors. And so, any of those aspects, siding, roofing, windows and doors, framing, if they're a small installer and they want us to consider them and do business with them as an installer, we can do that. We can put them in the database if they're not in the construction industry. If they are in the construction industry, we want to do business with them. So let us know. We would love to talk to you and tell you how good we are at things that maybe some of the other lumber yards aren't as good at. So there's lots of opportunities to do business with 84 and to partner with us. And that's important to us, is just having those relationships with everyone.
Yeah, and with that, the size of that platform, because you guys are, nationwide,
right?
And it's like $2 billion company.
4.3 billion last year. Yes.
Yeah, that's massive.
We are the largest privately held lumberyard in the United States, and we're owned by a woman. That's pretty impressive to me.
Yeah, that's very impressive.
And I get to do this. This is the funnest job I've ever had, and I feel like it's such an honor to be able to be a female in the construction industry. Maggie has opened up doors for women in the construction industry that would have never been opened before.
Yeah, and now you have is the responsibility, because there might be millions of women waiting for you to open that door for them.
Right.
I think that's one of the things that I see, at least on my side, because I'm a minority-owned business.
Right.
I'm trying to get access to projects. Same thing, but on the design side. And I know a lot of people that are my community and immigrants that they don't know how to do things, and I feel like I'm fighting for them every time, and out there and trying, and doors close, or there's all complicated processes, and I think things going that way, and they're not, because it's not easy. The fact that every construction company said they have an MWSB program doesn't really mean that they mean it.
Right.
Or they don't really care about, care for real. They might do it just because they need to check a checkbox somewhere.
Right.
But it's sometimes it's not genuine interest in helping, part of your community. So, I feel that weight of a lot of people behind me, that if I can make some things happen and change some things structurally, I'm gonna, open a door for a lot more people to go through it.
Yes, I love that. We've also done a couple of workshops too, Jack, that small businesses, veteran-owned businesses, minorities, and women have been in, and we're really just kind of guiding them on where to go if they want to get certified. Yeah. Kind of that question and answer. So, do you want to get certified? Does it make sense? If you do, here's where you go. Because if you Google how to get certified, there's 750 places that are going to be, and most of them want to charge you money to do it. So we've been very much involved in the women-owned business since 2011.
Yeah.
And so we know a lot of the things that we're able to do well, and that's one of them, is just direct people. Here are the links to get certified, and here is your counselor, your government counselor. I didn't even know there were such thing as a government counselor to help you get government contracts. There is, all across the United States.
Yeah.
So we're sharing that little bit of information in these little workshops so that they can decide, do I want to get certified or do I not want to get certified? So that's been really helpful as well.
Yeah.
We'll be right back with more from the Power of Design podcast.
Power of Design podcast is brought to you by OSA Studio, a multidisciplinary design firm focused on creating impactful experiences through the power of design. We partner with our clients to create buildings, interior spaces, brands, and strategies that help you deliver a successful project. As a minority-owned firm, we are committed to building a diverse platform of curious and driven design professionals so we can together pursue our full potential. For more information, please visit us at www.osastudio.com.
And I feel that one of the biggest parts is to let people know that you can do this.
Yes.
Some people may not even consider that as an option. They're like, oh no, I need money, I need connections.
Right.
That's for others. I'm just gonna stick to trying to have my job and pay my bills, but they don't realize there's a huge platform and need
Yes.
for people to make things happen, and you can start your own business and
Yeah.
just follow the rules. There are ways to do it, and providing the opportunities to break that barrier, that mental barrier where
Right.
you think you can't, but just letting them know that yes, it's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of resources out there to help you with that too. I'm a part of a women's construction forum group in Greenville, South Carolina. And there are 15 of us that are in there, and we're all in construction. One of the biggest things that we pride ourselves on, or I don't say pride ourselves on, but being in this group, you one, have to wear a hard hat to be in the group, and two, you have to be willing to mentor others. So we've been able to talk to middle school kids and high school kids about not only WBE, but about all the opportunities that are out there in the construction field if they don't want to go to college. There's lots of opportunities out there. And if they do go to college, you still have all those opportunities, right? So a lot of us in that group, most of us have been to college, but, I don't think any of us, now that I think about it, are doing exactly what we went to school for.
Mm-hmm.
Construction opens up thousands of opportunities, and you get to pick which one you're best at, or pick which one you feel like is your passion. And I didn't even know, WBE was going to be my passion. I just took a leap of faith and took the job and started learning. I didn't really know what WBE meant, but I've been in construction for a long time and I understood that part of it.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to make a difference in my life, really, really make a difference with all the knowledge that I've gotten. And I have such a unique story. So this WBE platform was a perfect opportunity for me to make a difference.
Yeah.
And Maggie, she's such an amazing woman that owns our company. She is so helpful. She helps our associates. The generosity of 84 Lumber has been overwhelming to me to see the things that happen behind the scenes that nobody would ever know about.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty cool that I get to be the one to help administer that generosity and that community engagement and the involvement of our stores in the communities.
Cool. What do you think is your biggest challenge today with your role, what you're trying to do? What are the obstacles you have?
My obstacles right now are just finding a way for our politicians there are some areas in the United States that we don't qualify to be a women business enterprise. And it's because of the growth of, what Maggie's done with the company since in the early or late 1900s. When you get so big, you can't qualify. If there are personal assets over a certain amount of money, you can't qualify to be a women business enterprise.
Yeah.
It just depends on how the certification works. So in those areas, that's where this database, we're helping other people get in the door because, maybe we can't qualify. However, we may have part of the job. But that's probably our biggest challenge. Just recently, I've made a lot of calls to a lot of, people in political position or procurement officers in different states and just ask them, hey, would you consider us, a women business entity, if one of our customers came to your area and signed a contract and they had to meet a certain percentage, would you accept us even though, we can't get certification here?
Yeah.
And a lot of them are saying yes, which is very cool because number one, they need us, and the economy, especially right now with the price of lumber, the economy is, it's hurting the economy for us as our size to not be able to contribute to those projects where there's big percentage opportunities or participation goals. So having us do that, that's probably my biggest obstacle in my job right now, is just finding ways to just share with the people that are doing the certification why it's so important. The costs are down. We're providing a service that nobody else can provide because of our size, because of what we're doing, because we're women-owned. And so just getting that in front of them and letting them know how important it is and how much it's going to save the community by doing that. And, we're not doing it for free. We don't expect anything for free as a company. We are on the back end doing lead the way. We're still plugging these small businesses and these women and minorities up with our larger customers and with customers that we're not even doing business with yet.
Yeah.
So, just getting that out there has been hard. Obviously, this podcast is very helpful for, just spreading the word and letting people know that we want to help, but we also need to qualify so that we can meet those participation goals.
Yeah. Can you give a quick explanation of what's the problem with lumber today and what do you think is going to happen in the future?
So right now we have a shortage, obviously, of a lot of materials. A lot of the plants, when COVID hit, I think for the longest time, we were all like, why isn't anything happening? We thought we were going to see a shortage right away, but we didn't. What happened was when COVID hit and a lot of people started doing home projects, right? There was still a lot of inventory on the ground everywhere. So it took a while for that inventory to be gone, right? So then now fast forward to now, where when COVID first started, they were shutting down plants everywhere. Well, nobody really knew how to handle that. So they'd shut down for 2 weeks if somebody got COVID, and then they'd come back and somebody else would get COVID, and they shut down until they came up with a protocol. Those plants were being shut down everywhere.
Yeah.
And so what's happened is it's come into a bottleneck now. And we're having a hard time finding people that want to work in the factories and want to work at the mills and want to work in manufacturing. So, not only do we have we come to the bottom of the funnel where there's not a lot of materials out there, but just finding the people to be able to get the materials back into a place where inventory's on the ground again.
Yeah.
That's been difficult.
So how do we get back to normal?
That's a really good question. We talk about this every day when we talk about the market and, how the prices are going. I think the biggest thing is just getting people back to work. I think that's going to be really, really big. They're saying, I just read an article this morning, there's 480,000 shortages of job positions right now. There's 480,000 positions out there in the construction industry that are not filled right now.
80,000?
480,000 positions. And by the end of 2023, they think it's going to be over 1 million. We just need people to work. I think that's going to be a big help for sure. And of course, the tariffs now, they're going back and forth with that. We don't know how that's going to affect us either.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting.
Very interesting.
How do you see the construction industry evolving in the future?
So I think COVID kind of gave us some new technology. I think that was one of the things that I wanted to talk a little bit about. Technology helped me when COVID happened because I didn't have to travel to all the cities in the United States to talk to people. So I think that opened up a whole new arena where we can do business and we don't have to be face-to-face, right? It saves the contractor time. It saves the framer time. It saves a lot of people time. So Zoom, and of course, any kind of platform like that has been really helpful. There are more podcasts out there to learn. than there were before COVID, right? So technology's really been helpful there. I think that everything that's happened over the past year has forced us to build better relationships and communicate more.
Yeah.
And I think we've all seen the benefits of that. Now, we've had to because we were forced to, right? But then when you have to do something that you see fruit from and you have, you see some success in it, then you realize that you've got to keep doing that in the future. So I think what's going to happen eventually, and it's already happening on our end. I don't know if you've seen it on your end, but we are actually communicating with the architect before the plans are even final.
Mm-hmm.
And we're helping that architect. So when I say communication, it goes all the way from, the thought process of building to the architect, to the GC, to the builder, to the developer, to the owner. We're seeing that all of that communication and making sure that we have all of the information up front.
Yeah.
And us being involved in saying, hey, this might be a better way. This could cost you less. This could, those things weren't happening before. But now because of the lead times, they are.
Right.
And we're seeing things go smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
Where before you'd always find that hiccup because nobody wanted to make a decision on this or didn't want to make a decision on that.
Sure.
And so I think the future is going to be, we're going to see more relationships and less price shopping.
Yeah.
I've already seen that. I've already heard it from a lot of customers. I would much rather pay a fair price and know that when I call you, you know everything about my business and how you can help my business,
Mm-hmm.
right? They would rather have that than look at a number here and look at a number here,
Yeah.
and then guess, which one of these guys is going to take care of me, at the end of the day if something goes wrong.
Yeah.
And that's what 84 Lumber is really good at doing is risk management, right? That's kind of what we do when we do these turnkey jobs is we kind of take that risk away by asking all the right questions in advance.
Yeah. What do you think is the ideal situation for you, like in 5-10 years, like if you do everything right, how does that world look like?
So you mean as a company?
Yeah, and in your role specifically.
Oh, in my role specifically. So in 5 to 10 years, honestly, things have happened more in the last year than I could have ever imagined. So, just seeing so many men in our company embrace the WBE and want to help and want to get involved in the community, that right there has been, honestly, I couldn't have even anticipated that big of a majority of our company embracing that opportunity. So I would say in 5 to 10 years, I feel like if I've done a great job at what I do, that there's going to be a lot more women. They're going to want to be in our business and they're going to realize how much money that they can make in this industry.
Yeah.
Probably more than going to college for 4 years and, figuring out something different.
Sure.
There's just so many opportunities. And the other thing is, just one fine example is a female customer that we have in Atlanta said that we helped her more in 2 phone calls than anybody's ever helped her in 14 years.
Wow.
She's a large builder. And so to hear that, I hope that in the next 5 to 10 years that there are women, minorities, small businesses, general contractors all over the nation saying 84 Lumber helped us get here. That's really what I'd love to see is, even our general contractors now that we do business with, I would love for, in 5 to 10 years for them to say, wow, 84 Lumber really made a difference in our business and how we go about finding WBEs and MBEs with their database and, just the knowledge that we have and the relationships that we're building.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's going to happen or
Yeah,
maybe
I hope
better.
so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Christi, how does the power of design impact who you are and what you do?
Okay, so your website says it best. The power of design impacts us by exploring the intersection of architecture, construction, and real estate to help us understand the dynamics and trends that shape a powerfully built environment. And that is so true. So when I looked at your website, I was like, that is just perfect because that's exactly what we need. It really is
Sure.
where we all come together as a team, even suppliers. Let's work together to make it a better place going forward, to have the future better for construction and architecture and real estate.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. I'm very impressed and I admire everything you're doing, and I look forward to see what the next level is for you.
Thank you, Jack. I really appreciate it.
Thanks. Thank you for listening to the Power of Design podcast. Remember to rate and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Find out more about Jack and OSA Studio at osastudio.com and follow us on Instagram at the Power of Design podcast. Thank you.